look for this problem. You could use Excel or the TI-84, but I think Excel is pretty simple. So the first part, on a planet far, far away from Earth, IQ of the ruling species is normally distributed with a mean of 117 and a standard deviation of 14. Suppose one individual is randomly chosen. Let X equal IQ of an individual. Now the distribution, they have you write it so that when you're finding the other values, you have it right there. But as long as this is capital X and not the X with the line over it for mean, this is always the mean, 117, and then the standard deviation, which in this case was 14. To find the probability that a randomly selected IQ is over 114. So we come over here, equal to norm. And this one will give you the normal distribution, and then this one gives you the inverse of the normal distribution. We want below 114. Oops. So notice I double click. This one wants the probability. So that means they are giving you a percent. So instead of this one, we want to use this one, because then it's asking for the X value. It will give you the probability. So we put the X value, which was 114, comma, your mean, and it even tells you what to put, mean and then standard deviation. So the mean was 117, comma, standard deviation 14, comma. Now it says cumulative distribution. It's everything under the curve, so you just put 1. It will always be 1, and hit enter. Now this value will be wrong. Notice it doesn't match. The reason it's wrong is this 0.41 or 41.5% is the percent below 114. We wanted the percent over 114. So then we take 1 minus this answer and hit enter. Oops, I didn't put an equal sign. Whenever you're going to put an equation in Excel, always put an equal sign. So 1 minus, and then click the one above and hit enter. And there you go. So when you use the normal distribution, it gives you the percent below. If you want above, you have to subtract it from 1. Part C. A school offers special services for all children in the bottom 7%. What is the highest score a child can have and still receive special services? So in this case, it's the opposite. We're looking for the number, and 7% is below. So we go over here, and we put equals norm. Now instead of the distribution, we want the opposite. We want the inverse. And our probability, the percent below, the bottom 7%, so that would be below 0.07, write it as a decimal, comma the mean, 117, comma standard deviation. This one does not need a 1, and it tells you that standard deviation was the last thing you needed. Then you hit enter, and there's your answer, rounding 2 decimal places. For quartiles, a quartile breaks up into quarters. You have your smallest number, and then the first quartile, and then the median, and then the third quartile, and the largest number. And there's 25% of the data between each of these. So if we want Q1, there's 25% of the data below it. So just like C, we use 7% was below. We do the same thing, only 25% below. And then for Q3, the next one, Q3 is 25, 50, 75. 75% of the data is below it. So we'll use 0.75 to find Q3. So equals norm, and we have the percent, so we're doing inverse. And then we put our probability. So for Q1, 25% is below it, 0.25, and then put your mean and your standard deviation. Q3, we do the same thing, equals norm inverse. And then our probability, the third quartile, 75% was below, so it's 0.75, and 117, and the standard deviation gives us 126. The interquartile range, you just subtract these two. So for the interquartile range, you take 126.44 and subtract 107.56. And there you go.